Welcome everyone to Fluvi's instructional video. In this video, we'll go over all the features that Fluvi has to offer. Before we start, I just want to mention that we always offer a 14-day free trial. So if you go to fluvi.com, you can sign up for free and try out our software without any financial commitment. All right, so with that said, this is what Fluvi looks like. Once you've created an account, signed up, and connected your Amazon Seller Central account with Fluvi, this is what the dashboard will show you. Once we've fetched your data, we'll show all kinds of different data points in the dashboard. These can be switched around to whatever fits your needs, whatever's interesting to you. We have a number of stats up here and then even more stats in the graph below. You can select data points like revenue, cost, profit, ad spend, returns, units, orders, and you can see these either as lines or as bars in the graph. You can add comparison periods to them or just see the main date range. You can also flip the graph around. So if you want to see the most recent values first or the oldest values first, that's up to you. And finally, you can also see this data arranged by day, week, or month by simply clicking on the interval of your preference. And all of the data loads pretty much in real time once the initial load is done. So Fluvi is a very snappy software. If we continue below, we have a widget for shipments. These little boxes represent shipments heading to Amazon. There's a middle line right here and a shipment to the right are shipments that are going to Amazon, and a shipment to the left of the middle line are shipments that have arrived to Amazon. If you click on this, you get even more information about the shipment and what it contains. This little widget to the right is an inventory widget. Each bar represents one product. The shorter the bar, the narrower the bar, the sooner this product needs to be restocked. So the longer the bar, the more units are in storage at FBA. And this little pop-up also shows how many days until the product needs to be restocked or replenished, and also how many days until it's actually out of stock. And this works assuming that you've provided Fluvi your lead times, which I'll show you later in this video. Good. Continuing below, we have a marketplace widget. So here we list all the marketplaces that the account is active in. This account is only active in US, which is why we're only showing the US marketplace. There's a couple of KPIs to see your business performance, and there's also a sales widget to the right, which has even more KPIs and various fixed date ranges so that you can see at a glance how your business is performing. In the settings menu in the top right, you can also force to convert to a specific currency. You choose your currency in the settings menu. So you could choose to convert to euro or US dollars, Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, British pound, any currency really. You can also set your comparison period. So the numbers you see here that are the comparison numbers, these could either be for the same period last year or the previous period. So if you're looking at March, then the previous period would be February. And finally, if you hide these little widgets, which you can do if they're not relevant to you, you can always re-enable them here in the settings menu. Good. From the dashboard, we'll move on to the sales page. The sales page is similar to the dashboard, but with even more data. So we have the same type of graph, customizable the same way as on the dashboard. We have a filters button where you can enable your market or see specific marketplaces or see all marketplaces. You can select your date range and the same type of settings drawer menu as on the dashboard. Below the graph, we have a number of stat cards, much like on the dashboard, and these are also customizable. So simply select the data that's relevant to you and your business. Moving down, we have a table with the products that are being sold. On the x-axis, we have all the different data points that we fetch from Amazon. So revenue, cost, units sold, we have a cost breakdown too. we fetch data like if there are promotional units or non-promotional units, ad spend, ad revenue. Then we also show ad revenue as a percentage of revenue. We show fulfillment costs, refunds, storage, monthly, long-term, returns data, profit margin, conversion rate, ROI, and also reimbursements and refunds from Amazon. So there's a whole bunch of data points to choose from, and you can enable or disable the columns as you please. And as you see, this also loads pretty much in real time. You can create custom groupings. So if you're only interested in, let's say, advertisement data, you select a number of columns that contain the data that you want to see, and you can easily switch between the columns or the configurations that you have saved. Good. There's also a group by option. So you can either group by none, and then we see a long list of all our SKUs. You can group by parent, and then we'll bundle all the child variations into one master product for you. Moving on, we have another marketplace tab here, and this will break down your sales per marketplace. This account is only active in US, so that's what we see here. And here, if you group by brand, we'll group all your products in the different brands that you have available. This account only has this one brand. That's why we're only showing one line item. If you expand the brand, we have a long list of all the products included in that brand. The next tab is region. So again, this account is only active in the North American region, but if you're selling in Europe or Far East, those would also show up here. And the final tab would be custom product groupings. So if you're launching a new line of products and want to keep an extra eye on them, this is a good way to do that. Simply create a product grouping in the settings on the settings page, and then we'll show all the different product groups that you've created here on this tab. And in any table like this, you can click on your products, and once you've clicked on a product, we'll show a pop-up for just this one particular product. And the pop-up contains similar types of data as we just saw on the sales page. But again, we're just showing this one product, not all your products. The graph, much like on the sales page, contains a number of different data points, but here we also have data points like conversion rate and bestseller rank that you can add to your graph. If you minimize the graph, you have a clearer view of the table below. And again, the table here shows similar data as on the sales page. Again, you can choose the columns that are relevant to you, disable the ones that are not, and enable the ones that are. And same thing here. You can create custom viewings, custom configurations, and quickly switch between them. All right. From here, we have an inventory tab that shows. Let's actually select a different product for this that has more inventory data. Here we go. So here, first of all, we have an interactive graph. So the today's date would be on the far left side. And then if you follow the graph, it will tell you how many units you're expected to have at FBA storage on any given date. So if you know, for instance, that you want to reorder new products when you have 100 units left, you can simply follow this graph down to where it shows 100 right here, and then you see which date that might coincide with. Good. Below, we have even more inventory data. We show number of reserved units and also how they're spread out between pending, processing, transshipped, researching, unfulfillable, and so on. We show inbound unit performance. If you have any shipments heading to Amazon, this would show up here. We have another chart of sorts that shows total inventory, so both inventory at FBA and also external inventory, assuming you have inventory at a 3PL and external warehouse. If you have provided Fluvi with any purchase orders or create a purchase order in Fluvi, we'll also show you how many units you have in production. And then we break down the valuation of your inventory. So how much is your FBA inventory valued at? How much is your total inventory valued at? And at the very bottom, we have a demand summary. So it shows how many units you're expected to sell over different time periods. All right. The feedback page or the feedback tab shows a breakdown of our requested product review email sent, how many have been sent, scheduled, and pending. The batch page shows, let's see here, our purchase orders for this particular product. So if you hover over the graph, we show the quantity and the price you've paid for those purchase orders, and then we have a breakdown in the table below. The final tab is the returns tab. Here's a breakdown of all the accounts, or this product's returns, I should say. There's a table that shows the disposition. If the account is enrolled in the resale grade program, which this account is not enrolled in, then we show the grade as well. And if and also the return reason. And if the customer has left any comment, that shows up over here as well. Finally, on the settings tab, there's an option for you to rename your product. So instead of having a long Amazon title, you could simply select a shorter nickname for it. And then you can also add the lead time, the number of days it takes for the product to be manufactured and sent to Amazon. Here, you can also add cost of goods, and you can add as many line items as you please. So you could have one line item for production cost, another for, let's say, shipping, and then perhaps a third one for packaging. And you can select any currency. So perhaps you're paying your packaging in Chinese yuan. We can select Chinese yuan, add the value, and then Fluvi will automatically convert all the different currencies to your main currency up here. Good. Moving on. From the sales page, the next page would be orders. This page shows a breakdown of your most recent orders. You can filter by marketplace or search by ASIN. If you expand any of your orders, you see the product that has been sold, the quantity, the price paid, the payout expected, and the gross profit. So if you launched in a new marketplace and want to keep an extra eye on that specific marketplace, this is a good way to keep track of those sales. Also, similarly, if you're selling a new ASIN, simply grab the ASIN, add it in the search bar, and then we'll show orders for just that one ASIN. Good. Next page is returns. On the returns page, we show returns data. Let's zoom out a little bit. So this account has very few returns because it's selling supplements, but we still have enough to show you how this page works. So at the very top, we have a graph showing returns per date. To the right, we have pie charts showing your return rate, but also the disposition of the returns, whether they're damaged, carrier damaged, customer damaged, defective, or actually sellable. And then finally, if the account is enrolled in the resale grade, we show the breakdown of the resale grades over here. Good. Below, we have some stat cards showing units sold, how many have been returned, your return rate, how many are sellable, how many are non-sellable. And in the table below, we have both an activity view and a summary view. The activity view shows your returns chronologically, so the most recent returns at the top. And here we show data like the order ID, the product, why it was returned, and also the disposition, if it's sellable or not. If the customer has left any comment, that would show up over here. And then finally, one last thing I want to show you is the return frequency. Let's actually zoom out over a longer time period for this. So the return frequency shows after how many days, or rather, how many days it takes for 25% of your returns to occur. So in this case, 25% of this account's returns occur within the first 13 days. And this information is good to know when you're sending your product review request emails, which you can also do in Fluvi under tools and feedback. So when you're sending your product review request emails, the only thing you can change is when the email should be sent. Amazon has a predefined template for this email, which cannot be changed, but you can set how many days after delivery the email should be sent. And if you know when most of your returns occur, here, after 23 days, we see that most of our returns have taken place. Then in this case, it would be a good idea to send the email after 24 days. And then we would skip sending the email to any customer that have returned the product or canceled the order, in hopes that you'll have a higher review rating, higher review average, as we're skipping sending the email to customers who are presumably unhappy and have returned the product. All right. Next page is advertising. On the advertising page, we have a similar graph as on the sales page. There are a number of data points you can choose from. Set it over days, weeks, or months. And if you hover over any of the dates, you see a breakdown. In the stat cards below, we have another set of data points. So we show ad revenue, ad spend, units sold, discounts, tacos, but here you can also switch these around as you see fit. If you hover over this little icon, we'll show the breakdown between how the ad revenue has been generated: sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display and video, and so on. Now this account only does sponsored products, so that's where we're seeing 0 values on the 3 bottom ads types. Good. In the table below, we again have a list of all our products. We see the breakdown in ad revenue per product and also the breakdown in ad spend per product. And then an even more detailed breakdown of the different ad types. Finally, we show data like ACOS, TACOS, units sold through ads, total units sold, ads impressions, ads click, and CTR, click-through rate. And this data is also exportable in CSV files if you prefer to work in spreadsheets. Good. The next page would be profit and loss. Let's actually use this date range. So you can sort the data either by most recent first or by oldest first. You can see this as weeks, days, or months. And as you see, it loads pretty snappy once the initial load is done. The filters, again, lets you choose which marketplace you want to see the data for. We've now selected all marketplaces, but we just select US if that's preferable. In the settings drawer, we can again choose to force convert currency. If only one marketplace is selected, we would show the numbers in that marketplace's currency. But if you prefer to see a different currency, let's say that you're looking at Canada and you see this in Canadian dollars, but you would prefer to see it in US dollars, you can simply go up here and force the conversion to your default currency, which you again set in settings. Right. Any of these lines here can be expanded, so we see an even more detailed breakdown of how we came to these figures. So we have all kinds of data: revenue, reimbursements, refunds from Amazon. Under expenses, we have data like fulfillment, cost of goods, refunds, storage, advertisement breakdown. So we have an asterisk here because this is already included in our expenses. And then we show additional data points like redemption fees, reimbursement fees, settlement fees, and also finally a statistics part where we show profit margin. Moving on, so we've taken a look at all of our analytics features. On the logistics side, we have an inventory page, which is, I think, pretty cool. So here in this table, we have a bunch of circles. Each circle represents one specific product. So all the accounts products are listed as circles, and the larger the circle, the higher the sales velocity, the more units are being sold every day. The closer these circles are to the dotted line over here, the sooner they need to be restocked or replenished. Any green circle has 30 days or more of inventory left, or until they need to be restocked. If the circles will move a little bit to the left every day as sales are made, and once they become blue, it means that they are 14 to 30 days out from having to be restocked. If they are yellow, they need to be restocked within the next 14 days. And if the circles are red, as in this case, it means that they are past due to be restocked. They risk running out of stock. All right. In the table below, again, list of our products and a bunch of different data points. Sales rank, how many days until reorder, how many days until replenish. And the difference here is reorder would be the number of days until you need to place a new order from your manufacturer. Replenish is how many days until you need to send more inventory to FBA. So if you have inventory at an external warehouse, these two dates would be different. Good. We have other data like sales velocity, inventory value, fulfillable units, inbound units, number of reserved units, units in external storage, and units in production, assuming you have any active purchase orders. Also, if you click on any of your products here, you can do a batch select. And from here, you can create a purchase order or create a batch, as we call it. And here, you can either add how many days of supply you're looking to order, or you can add how many units you're looking to order, and then Fluvi will tell you how many days of supply that actually is. And you can switch these around. So these change in real time. You can play around with this, again, to find the right combination for your order. And from here, if you hit save, we'll generate a purchase order where you can download the purchase order PDF, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll cancel this for now and move on to the next page, which is warehouse. So warehouse is external inventory. This account has one warehouse, Shipica, in the United States, in Utah. There's a number of products being stored there. So we show all the products and then also the quantity of those products and also the price paid per unit when those purchases have been made. To add a new warehouse, just click the plus button, add a alias, a name for the warehouse, add warehouse details if you want to, and then add the products that are stored in that warehouse. You can also add notes or files to this warehouse, so contracts, invoices, agreements, whatever you need saved for later can be added here. Good. Transfers would be shipments between warehouses, so not shipments to FBA, but rather from your, let's say, West Coast warehouse to East Coast warehouse. If you want to create a transfer order like that, simply hit the plus sign, add your details, and hit send. Very good. The next page would be suppliers, and this is just a brief list of your suppliers. Add a new supplier by clicking the plus button, and then follow the steps at the top. Once you've created a supplier, that later plugs into other features like batches or purchase orders. So here's a list of all our past purchases. We can create a new one by clicking the plus button, adding relevant information, order ID, created date, estimated completion date, arrival date, select the supplier that you've added in the previous page, and also select the warehouse where you want it delivered if you want to do so. You can also add stages, stages to your purchase order, to your batch. So perhaps your first stage when creating a new batch is to make an initial payment, a deposit. The next stage could be sending shipping labels. The next stage could be arrange shipping. And then perhaps the last stage would be make final payment. You can both add dates to this, and as you complete these stages, you can mark them. And once you've marked them, they will show up in this table. So this is a good way if you have a team, if you have different people doing different things. This is a good way to keep to see an overview of how your recent purchase orders are doing and if all of the stages are complete, or see which stage is left to complete. All right. And to actually complete this order, we'll naturally have to add products. And same thing here. You can add notes and files to your purchase order. But we'll leave that be for now, and we're also going to delete this. Good. Any past purchase order would show up here. You'd see the products in that purchase order, the quantity, the price paid per unit, and the total price paid for the entire purchase order. And then you can download the PDF by going to this menu right here. Excellent. Moving on. So we've seen inventory, warehouse, suppliers, and batches. The last page on this in this section would be shipments. So here we see all shipments for this account. There's an imaginary middle line over here, and a shipment to the left has arrived to Amazon, and a shipment to the right of the middle line would be shipments that are heading to Amazon. If we hover over the thumbnail, the image, we see which products are in each shipment. And if we click on a shipment, we get this little pop-up with even more shipments related data and also the items included in that shipment. In the table below, again, same type of data. We have a list of all our shipments. We see the status. We see where they're shipped from, where they're shipping to, tracking number if available, and also when it has been created and when we're expecting delivery. Excellent. Moving on. So the tools features, the first one would be feedback. This is the automated product review request email that you're able to send through Amazon. So you can either do this manually in Seller Central, where you have to click a button in each order that would then trigger the email to be sent, or you can do it automatically through Fluvi. You simply have to enable the products where you want this email to be sent, and then you set the number of days of delay. And this is how many days after the order is delivered that the email should be sent. In this table, you also see statistics for the products that you've enabled. So scheduled are or sent are emails that have been sent to your customers. Scheduled are the ones that that will be sent in the next couple of days. And pending represents the number of the orders that you have had but not yet scheduled an email for. Skipped would be emails that we skip because the order is returned or cancelled. And batch select is enabled here as well. So simply select the products that you want to make an action on and then do so at the bottom over here. All right. The next page is a task list. So here, this works similarly to Trello or other task management softwares. Create a task by adding one. Create Fluvi instructional video. Let's save this. I can either I can set it to any of the categories available. I can also assign it to any of my team members. But if we just hit save, it will end up in the to-do section. And then I can move this around as I'm working on this particular task. So this is also a useful feature if you have a team and you want to create tasks and delegate those tasks to your team members. On the next page, we have a documents list. So you can create documents for your teams, write SOPs, FAQs, guidelines. So if you're onboarding a new team member, you can refer them to this section to absorb all the information that they need in order to do their tasks. The next feature we have here is Copywriter, which is an AI title writing tool. You select your language, you select a objective. Let's do conversion in this case. You can write an item description, let's say metal garlic press. We select the tone and then we hit generate suggestions, and it will generate as many titles as we set here in the number of titles. So let's hit generate. We'll wait about 5 seconds, and then it will come up with a bunch of different titles for us to use in our Amazon listing. And again, this works in any language. So if you're expanding to, let's say, Germany and want to have proper German titles in your listing, select Germany as the language, or German as the language, and then it will generate titles in that particular language. Next feature would be Assistant, and this is perhaps our most unique and highest value feature. It's a semi-automatic email responder for Seller Central. So on the Fluvi page, you can first download the extension. It's a Chrome extension. So if you hit add to Chrome, you get sent to the Chrome page, click add or install, and then it gets added to your extensions up here. Once it's added, head over to Amazon Seller Central to your buyer seller messaging page and load a message. What you'll see down here then is a button titled AI Response. And when you click this button, Fluvi Assistant will read the customer's message, understand the question, understand the challenge, the problem, and then create a perfectly good reply to that customer's complaint. What's cool is also that this will work in any language. So if we load a message from in Spanish and hit AI response, Assistant will read that message, understand it's in Spanish, and reply accordingly in Spanish, but also provide an English translation so that we actually know what we're replying to the customer. And in Fluvi, we head back over to Fluvi's platform. Here you can add instructions to really tailor the messages as you please. So if you have a typical question that your customers ask and you want AI assistant, Fluvi assistant, to reply a certain way, you can simply add instructions covering those topics. So you can select either one, several, or all your ASINs. If you leave this blank, all ASINs are selected. You can add a title for this problem, this concern that you want to address, and then a description how it should be solved or the answer to a problem. So for instance, this account is selling supplements. Here I've added instructions related to the size of the pills. Each pill is 1/2 inch in size. And what we see then is that Assistant is actually using that information when generating the responses. So this customer is asking us about the size of the pills. I've translated this to English now. So how big are these pills? Assistant answers in Spanish, but then provides an English translation. And here we can clearly see that it's using the information that I have provided, that the pills are 1/2 inch in size. And you can also go more broad with your instructions. So you could, for instance, say that be extra friendly, less curt when replying to customer, or you can even add stuff like crack a joke in each message. So let's give that a try. Start each message with a joke. When replying to customers, start the message with a joke. If we save these instructions, and this is in real time, mind you, so we have add instructions, all ASINs selected. If we now try to reply to Pegasus again, we'll see that Assistant will add a joke in the beginning of the message. There we are, and here is our joke. Very nice. So we can't guarantee the quality of the joke, but we can guarantee that it will get added. So I'm going to remove these instructions now and give you another example. We have also added this little additional feature to this, which we call mini instructions. So this would be instructions that you can add here right on the page. So for instance, we see here that this customer is asking how many pills should I take per day and what period of the day should I take them. An assistant is saying that regarding these pills, it's generally common to take them as directed on the packaging or by a healthcare provider. But if I add mini instructions saying that take 2 pills a day, both in the morning, if I add these instructions and hit AI response, then those instructions will be used in the reply. Let's see here. You should take two pills a day, both in the morning, and here is our reply. And again, if I remove this, we'll go back to no added mini instructions, and then it will use its best judgment once again. There we go. So that's Fluvi Assistant. I should also say that each message generated each time you click AI response, 1 Fluvi credit is consumed. You can see your credits both in the extension, or if you head over to Fluvi and go to the settings and billing page, you'll see your credits here. A few more things before we end this instructional video. So on the settings page, we have now taken a look at all of our tools. If we head over to a settings page, there are a number of settings here that could be relevant. So first you have general business settings. On the next tab, you can invite users to your team. On the third tab, you can connect your Amazon accounts. So Amazon SP API will be Amazon's marketplace data. And then there's a separate API for advertising. So with this API, we can fetch your marketplace data. And with this API connected, we can fetch your ads. Once an API is connected, if you click connect, you'll be sent to Amazon to authorize this connection. But after that is done, you'll be able to select marketplaces that you want to enable. And the grayed out ones are not activated and the green ones are active. This is where we fetch data from. All right, next page is billing. Here's where you see your subscription details, and here's also where you're able to purchase additional credits for Fluvi Assistant and Copywriter if you need them. The next page is import export. This is where you can download feed files. So if you want to change your cost of goods for a large number of products, you can download the products feed file and then create or then edit or add cost of goods in that file. Similarly, you can add a 3PL, external warehousing data, to this page from this feed file. And you can also upload bulk documents to Assistant through this feature. So download the correct feed file and upload them here. If you have feed files, cost of goods feed files from any other software, so you can also import them here for a frictionless onboarding. The next tab is product groupings. So if you want to create a new product grouping, simply create group, add a name, and then select the products that you want included in that product group, hit create, and then your custom product grouping is available in the list. On the two final tabs, you can change the default currency for your account. All currencies are available, all major ones at least. Hit update, and then it saves. And on profile, you can change your email or password or display name. There's also a search feature, so you can search for ASINs, products, warehouses, suppliers, all kinds of things. And you can also filter these by marketplace if you have a long list of products that show up at once. What else? We do have a light mode, which we're looking at now, and then we also have a dark mode, which is perhaps a little bit easier on the eyes, but less clear to navigate in my opinion. And I think that covers most of the features we have here in Fluvi. As always, you can sign up for a free trial, give Fluvi a test, 14 days for free, no credit card required. If you would like any additional support, you can always email either me, Daniel@fluvi.com, or our support department, support@fluvi.com. Or if you go to our website, fluvi.com, you can send us a message from our contact form. Here, you can also schedule a meeting if you want a personal tour of Fluvi, or if you want me to explain anything in more detail. But for now, I'll leave you to it. Again, we encourage you to start a trial account and try Fluvi on your own. And if there's anything else we can help you with, please get in touch. Thank you so much.